So now we've got this E. Jean Carroll civil lawsuit against Trump and the jury's decision. I mean, just it's mind-boggling from beginning to end. Uh, they actually succeeded in changing a law on the statutes of limitations just for Carroll to launch this lawsuit. The judge in this case is a Clinton appointed judge. He hates Trump, obviously. The rules that he set out to the jury, bizarre. Robert Spencer has documented this. He was saying that everything from rape to a peck on the cheek is on many levels the same thing. Her whole story is very weird. I don't know if you saw her interview on Anderson Cooper, just bizarre, some of the stuff she was saying, including about rape. To the best of my memory, she was saying something about how rape can be very sexy or something. So, yeah, so then he cut to a commercial. Something's very wrong here, but also just even the jury's decision. Then he played. I forget. I'm having a mental lapse when Trump was on that bus and saying a few inappropriate things, and they taped it. They actually let that play to the jury. It had nothing to do with this trial, but they didn't allow other things on Trump's side to be played to the jury. Just the whole thing seemed fixed. But I'm very interested too that the civil suit's about being raped. The jury decides that there was no rape, but that there was some kind of assault and defamation. So let me get this straight. So we think the woman's lying about being raped, which means she's a liar, but we're gonna just, make a little compromise that he hurt her feelings by the stuff that he said. And even though she's saying she was raped and that's a lie, we're going to just go with that there was some kind of molestation or assault. Like, logically, that does not add up in terms of how a jury should be thinking. If she's a liar, why would you believe her about other things?
The funny thing about all this, since we need some comedy here, is that when she first came out with the story, the media took one look at her and ran in the other direction. They said this lady is crazy. There was the Cooper Anderson interview where she's talking about how rape is sexy. She does another interview where she says that, rape is pretty much the woman's fault because men can't control themselves. Like, she's a nut job. Back then, I did a review of her book. Pretty much nobody bought this book. Nobody wanted to touch this book because this book, it basically claims that everybody in the past had assaulted her. The book is completely crazy. She's nuts, frankly. The jury took one. No, normally the jury should have taken one look at her and gone, whoa, because the media took one look at her and then suddenly you didn't hear anything about her. You didn't hear anything about her until she filed this lawsuit. The media quickly did a few appearances for her and then they wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole, which was entirely reasonable because she was saying crazy things. And her story, as you said, makes zero sense whatsoever. She was sexually assaulted by Trump in the middle of a major department store's dressing room. It makes absolutely no sense. She herself said that this makes absolutely no sense. Any normal person back then, including people on the left and the media, said, yeah, I don't know that we want to do this. And then, of course, she came back. This time she had a major backer. She had a big tech billionaire financing her lawsuit. The big tech billionaire backer, the same guy who's been financing a lot of dirty operations. He's the guy behind LinkedIn. He was also visiting Jeffrey Epstein's island. So, he cares very much about sexual assault. He cares very much about what happens to women and young girls because he was a Jeffrey Epstein associate. Anyway, he decides to finance this. Suddenly, the media starts taking it seriously, and a bunch of Democrats start taking it seriously. Not too seriously, but seriously enough to push this through the system. And this is a situation where whichever jury they were going to get was pretty much going to convict Trump no matter what. If you brought this in front of a jury and said that Trump came down in a UFO flying saucer and probed me, they'd go, well, yeah, I mean, we Saturday Night Live and all the media tell us that he's the devil incarnate. There's no doubt that he did this. So it's not surprising, which does not bode well for obviously the upcoming Bragg prosecution of Trump. The bottom line is you just normally juries do their job normally. But if you really demonize people enough, if you get to the point where you're just lynching people, when you've got the public whipped up to the point where it's basically hang him, hang him, hang him, he's the devil, well, you're going to have a jury that does not do its job. We saw that with Derek Chauvin, with the George Floyd overdose case. We've seen it a handful of times. It's a really ugly and unfortunate phenomenon because overall the American jury system has worked very well. This is a case where the verdict is in some ways inexplicable, but in other ways it was absolutely rigged from the start. And you now have a situation where you have juries in blue cities, in uber blue cities, whether it's DC or New York City, who are absolutely going to pull the trigger on Trump no matter what.